The year 2024 is officially find out season, and that's why I'm going to read this long Reddit post, and I don't care if it takes the whole 10 minutes. She says, my ex is reaping what he's sown, and it's pretty epic. She says, I don't have a problem, and I'm not looking for advice. I just want to share a beautiful ending. I got married when I was 18 to my high school sweetheart. Stupid, but unfortunately, I didn't have anyone to support me or warn me or make me understand I didn't have to do it. I'm from the Bible Belt, and my parents really didn't want me leaving for college in another state, i.e., learn there is more to life than this horrible place. So they begged me and finagled and coerced me into going to college locally, and they would pay for an apartment for me and my boyfriend if we got married. Because who could withstand the scandal of me shacking up with my boyfriend, Iro? So finally, I just gave in. Now, let me explain. For those of you who do not have religious trauma from being beat to death your whole childhood with evangelical BS, eventually they just wear you down and you don't care anymore. She continues with, I told them I didn't care about having a wedding. I just wanted to go to the courthouse. No, this upset the cousins, so I agreed to let them do whatever. So my mom and her friends and relatives plan it. We get married. I have been 18 for 5 days. We move into a small off-campus apartment, and immediately things change. Within a day and a half, he's completely stopped acknowledging me. He wouldn't even answer if I asked him a question. He spent the bulk of our honeymoon sitting at a computer desk downloading porn. It was 2001, so that was still a thing you had to do. So I was married, whole ass married, all the way, legally married, and 2 days in discovering that this is very, very wrong. And the thing about situations like this, where everyone around you is wrapped up in this church nonsense, is you have no one to talk to about it. I had no one to support me. If I had left, I would have had nowhere to go. Also, I had never seen a happy married couple, and I cannot stress the importance of this enough. But for those of us raised by boomers, I think you will understand I didn't actually know there were married people who were happy and enjoyed each other's company. My parents, also married at 18, spent their waking hours fighting, and when they weren't fighting, my grandparents were fighting. But by God, they all stayed married, even though they hated each other. These were my only examples of married life other than TV. With no support, completely naive, and not a single person to talk to, I just got on with it. I'm not going to go into detail about our absolute nightmare of a marriage. Let's just say after our fourth child was born, he just stopped coming home from work in the evenings, and I knew I was strong enough to do this. Also, I had to have a hysterectomy due to PCOS. That changed my life. Amazing. I started making plans. I enrolled back in college when the baby was about 9 months. I had quite a few credits I picked up here and there. I got a job, a good one. My mom retired from her job finally and told me she would babysit so I could afford to work. And I just started being a married single mom. Y'all know how it is. As long as I let him use my body as a receptacle once a day, he left me the F alone. And I knew he was just forcing me to have sex with him to feel power over me because I knew he had to be sleeping with someone else as much as he was gone. But anyway, long story short, I finally got him packed up and parked his outside. And I'm not going to go into all of the soul sucking battles that resulted. Let's just say he was a narcissist, completely textbook, and he did everything you're thinking: stalk me, come to my job, harass me, threaten me, call me a couple of hundred times a day. Absolute nightmare. But I kept me and the kids safe. There was a light at the end of the tunnel, but I say this just to give you an idea of what was happening. 5 days after I kicked him out, he publicly stepped out with his new girlfriend, and they were both posting on social media. And I'm saying this sarcastically. It was obvious she was not new. This was not a new relationship. It was so pathetic. I was embarrassed for him. Ugh. His mom even called me seriously upset and embarrassed by it, asking me if I knew. Yeah, obviously. Remember when you asked why I kicked him out a few days ago? Things clearing up. Oh, did I mention he was a high school teacher? Yeah, everything you're thinking is absolutely true. But when her dad is a deputy, they keep it quiet and from never hitting the papers. Now, she had graduated by then. She was still 18 though, so whatever. I weathered the storm in all of this absolute insane BS. Court dates, being sued for made up things, still with the stalking and harassment, begging for me to let him move back home. He even asked for sex once, but from the other side of the door I had him locked out of. Bro, I won't even let you in the house. You think I'm going to let you in my pants? Repulsive. Anyway, now, I did in one awkward interaction at a pickup tell her that she needed to get away from him. She was 18. She had her whole life ahead of her. I would even help her. Please don't be in a relationship with this man. He would change her. She acted like you would think, eye rolls and condescension, thinks she's the one, but she was an 18-year-old victim who had been groomed. What could I do? I warned her. She didn't listen. I felt sorry for her, but I did my part. In time, meet my second husband. He's wonderful, did the work, and shows my kids a loving example every day. This also really set me back because being treated well is a sure way to make someone realize just how badly they've been treated in the past. We started healing, and it stuck out through and it stuck out through all of the visitation sham about a year and a half. He didn't want the kids, didn't care about them, didn't even like them. He just took them to irritate me. Anything he could do to hurt me, he did. But I digress. About 2 years in, approximately, his girlfriend got pregnant and they had a baby. Thankfully, he stopped demanding the visitations that he clearly didn't want, citing the baby, and we were all so relieved. Oh my gosh, it was so good. They did continue to go sporadically for a couple of years, maybe once every 2 or 3 months for a weekend. They loved their little brother and enjoyed playing with him. Thought he was the best. And I want to add in here, I didn't talk about him around them when they were little. Never. I didn't say about his girlfriend. Oh, that's awesome. Maybe you guys can paint your nails and she knows some cool things to teach you. I bought gifts for the baby. I even gave him the things that we used, swings, things like that, so they wouldn't have to buy them. If there are any divorced dads out there, please save your bitter baby mama. You probably taught them to hate him BS. Anything my kids feel towards him, he's earned in person. Now, after X's child was born, he got a vasectomy. I don't know any details, and I only know this because I said something to my oldest one day about when he was getting another little brother or sister, and he said he wasn't. His uncle and his dad had rode together to the clinic and had vasectomies. They've been joking about it at their grandparents. Life goes on. We made it through COVID, and I'm talking, it's been 11 years since all that. I've got two adults, a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old. And they don't deal with their father or his wife. They all try to video chat, call, and FaceTime their little brother to keep a relationship with him. But due to their dad pushing contact on them, they had to stop. And what I mean by that is my kids had phones. The ex would call them and they wouldn't answer, seeing it was him. So he would use his little boy's iPad to call them. They would answer thinking it was their little brother, and there he would be. He wouldn't stop putting them in situations like that, forcing himself on them, just like he used to do with me. And they just stopped answering, and it broke their hearts, especially my two oldest, who went through a lot of guilt and tears over having to cut ties with their little brother. Lots of sadness and guilt and anger at ex for making them choose. We discussed them reaching out to ex stepmom in a couple of weeks when things settled down and asking to reconnect with little brother and explain the circumstances about how and why they stepped back. Now, here we are in the present. A few weeks ago, we were talking to my daughter and her roommate back from college dorms, and she's flipping through Facebook. She squeals the squeal of someone with hot tea and says new wife changed her relationship status to divorced. Now, I don't know if any of y'all have ever met a teenage girl with the internet, but in 4 minutes, she had the full history pieced together like she was on Criminal Minds, and we found out everything. Identified the new man, ID'd his family, saw the new baby, and knew what they had for dinner. It just happened a few days before that. Wife packed up their son, took him to the hospital, and gave birth to another man's baby. New dude took her and both boys back to his house, and that was the end of it. Like, what? I knew this would happen. I knew it would. About age 27 to 29, as a woman, you're in your full glory. So a woman is writing an Am I the A-hole thread, And I keep saying, whenever women write these Am I the A-hole threads, they are simply looking for validation for feeling normal human emotions. She says, Am I the a-hole for suggesting my minimum wage and part-time boyfriend pay me back for half of my gas for taking him to and from work? Obviously, no, you're not the a-hole. All right, so she's 27. He is 36. Okay. My boyfriend of 8 years works at the Amazon distribution center, and I'm the one to give him rides to and from work. And he works overnights, and I worked days. He does have a friend who takes him to work one time a week, and I also take him to appointments when needed and to the gym daily. He does not have a car or license at this time due to several unpaid speeding and parking tickets. So, about 3 weeks ago, I was laid off from my job in marketing. I was making about $55 an hour, holding things down at home with the mortgage and bills without any issues. So I never found it necessary to ask him for gas money to take him to work and home. I figure he works hard and doesn't get paid much, so why make things worse for him? I fill up my gas tank about one time a week for $60. I understand that he is making all right, I understand that he is making about $16 an hour and only make working about 24 hours per week. I am also privileged to have gotten a master's degree, so I can see how charging him for gas may be an a-hole move. But now that I am unemployed and living on much less from unemployment, I am on a budget. I feel like I'm making changes to my lifestyle, such as letting go of my personal training sessions, going natural with my nails, and avoiding overconsumption. So on Thursday, I asked him about paying to fill up my gas tank once every 2 weeks, and I'll pay the other 2 weeks. And he got really upset and told me how much easier life has been for me and how I take that for granted. He also says he doesn't have the money to pay $120 a month for gas, which is understandable because he only makes about $350 every week, even though I have been paying all of the bills since we moved in together 4 years ago. I told him that I am not a free Uber service and I feel taken advantage of at times. He has still avoided talking to me about the matter. Am I the a-hole in the situation? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. If he doesn't want to pay for gas, then you should stop taking him. I mean, this is pretty simple to me, but let's get into some of the comments. This person says, please tell me he's not on the deed to your house, can't keep a license because he drives irresponsibly and doesn't pay his fines, works minimum wage part time, thinks it's your responsibility to chauffeur him around and pay for the privilege, pays no bills, started a relationship with a teenager when he was almost 30. He's not a winner, not the a-hole. The OP says he's not on the deed. I bought the house before we moved in together, and I was doing great with my job and making lots of money. This is partly why I am being so stingy about money. I can't lose this house. He has asked to be put on as an owner as well, but I always brush it off because I know he wouldn't help me pay for it. So the person responds with, good for you. If you were my younger sister asking about this situation, I tell you to sit down and write 2 lists. Everything this relationship gives you and everything it costs you, whether that is materially or emotionally, and then consider how sound of an investment of your time, energy, and money it is for the future. The OP says, this really got me thinking. Thank you very much. Cookie just says, please leave him. He's a loser and is dragging you down. You can do so much better. He is a parasite and he is sucking the time, energy, and resources off of his host. This person says, agreed. He does not want a partner. He wants a sugar mommy, a grown man who works at Amazon making $16 an hour, has an expectation that his currently unemployed girlfriend drive him to work for free. He had the audacity to make a fuss about contributing $120 a month for his personal chauffeur's gas. Nope, babe, download the Uber or Lyft app. The free ride, pun intended, is over. OP, not the a-hole. Slap a stamp on his forehead. Drop him off at the post office with instructions to return to sender. His mom can take over from here. Talk about choosing beggar. Stop enabling this grown man who behaves like he is your child. Yes, and he is much older. This is out of line. Okay, so this person says, wait a minute. He makes $350 a week and can't pay you $120 for gas a month. What is he doing with his paycheck? And the OP says he does pay for his own food and drinks because he doesn't like what I get. He eats like He eats a lot of processed food as well as expensive protein shakes. He sends money to his brother and mom who live in India. He also collects Funko Pop figurines. I guess that's where it all goes since he has no savings. Then someone says, I had a freeloading boyfriend that didn't pay me rent and collected Funko Pops. All I can say is run. This person said, what was the last straw for you? Because I really do feel like I'm at my breaking point. What are Funko Pops? Hold on, let me see. Okay, so this is a Funko Pop. I just want to remind us all that this is a 36-year-old man and he is spending his money the on toys, but he can't pay for his own gas. Then the woman says, I didn't have one, talking in a breaking point. She said, I didn't have one. I ended up having my heart broken by him. I wish I took my own advice. I let him walk all over me for 2 years. And then the OP said, I'm scared this is going to happen with me because I'm not working right now. I need to leave and not look back. I'm glad you're out of that situation, though, and I hope you heal. So this person says, you know, your boyfriend had more disposable income than you for the last 8 years. You made $55 an hour, but paid all the expenses. You likely had less than $10 an hour left after taxes, mortgage, car payment, gas, insurance, groceries. Meanwhile, he lives like a teenager with all of his income being disposable income. And then the OP says, I never thought about it that way, but you are right about that. I made enough to live comfortably, but never had any extra money to take vacations or anything extravagant. This is the reason why I love Reddit and social media. It gets people talking. And for whatever it's worth, I do realize that some of these could be fake. However, these situations happen. And we're talking about these things because I want people to understand how silly it is to take care of people that are not reciprocating. Because these parasites, these vampires, these energy vampires are a real thing. They happen. They happen in real life. And we have got to be okay with extracting the parasite off of us and getting rid of them and keeping relationships with us that are supportive and reciprocal and getting rid of parasitic relationships that are only serving the parasite. Y'all jump in the comments. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.